Today, we're going to talk about our birth story. And spoiler alert, it ends with a scar and a beautiful baby girl. Hey mamas, what's buzzin'? It's me, Casey Sue. Welcome back to the Busy Mama Bee podcast. I just recorded this whole episode and it was completely out of focus when I moved the screen back so I wasn't staring at the screen the whole time. I must have hit something and it was all blurry when I just looked back at it. So that's how my day is going. How is your day going? Thank you guys all so much for all the love and support in regards to me starting a podcast. I really appreciate all the positive feedback. And so yeah, sorry, this is really bizarre because I just spent 30 minutes already talking. All right, where did I start? Oh, did you notice the little bee behind me? Thank you so much, Jordan, for this little sweet bee. Jordan was my first guest. If you missed that on our second episode of the podcast, thank you so much. This is so freaking cute and I love it. Set my little bee back there. Yeah, so if you guys don't know already, if I didn't mention it, our baby girl, we call her Bee. That's like her internet name. That's not her real name, but we like to call her Bee. Well, busy mamas, what is buzzing? What is fueling your hive this week? This week, our hive is being fueled by some coffee and a whole lot of Jesus. We just celebrated Easter. It is Easter Sunday today, so today's been very busy with church and Easter egg hunt and kind of resetting our house. Johnny did a lot of cleaning, so we just did a hell heck of a lot between last weekend celebrating Easter with my family. Yeah, speaking of Easter and springtime, I was really reflecting this week on spring and new beginnings and new creations. It is just so gorgeous outside. I'm looking outside and looking at our one tree that's right there. I think it's a magnolia tree. It's really beautiful. It's blossoming with some pink flowers right now. And I was really reflecting on springtime and how springtime brings all these beautiful new creations and new beginnings. And I'm kind of going through a little bit of new beginnings myself right now, which I think I'll go probably a little bit more in detail in another episode. But along with reflecting on these things, I was thinking about birth and new beginnings and new creation through birth, which is something that I experienced last year. Our sweet little bee was born in August and she is 8 months old literally today as I'm recording this. So it's really wild to look back on and reflect on that experience now that we are 8 months out. And with it being April, April is Cesarean Awareness Month. I just learned that this month. And so I thought it was perfect timing that we talk about our birth story. So today we're going to talk about our birth story. And spoiler alert, it ends with a scar and a beautiful baby girl. I truly thought that I was going to go early with our little baby girl. We were due at the beginning of August, and I thought for sure, I don't know why I thought this, that we were going to go early sometime in July. So I had like all my ducks in a row for work, got everything squared away so I didn't have to worry about anything at the end of July, early August. And it got to our due date. Still nothing. Not feeling anything at all. Zero activity going on down there. No dilation, no nothing. And so I tried everything. I tried walking every day, all the time. I tried the dates. I was doing the raspberry leaf tea. I was doing a lot of stuff. Some spicy foods, some pineapples, a little bit of everything. And looking back at it, reflecting on that time, it's kind of silly, all the things that I tried to do. But it was really nice to just enjoy that time. Yeah, so it got past our due date and still nothing. And I would joke when I saw people and they said, like, oh, you're still pregnant. I'm like, yes, it must be air conditioned in there because she's comfy, cozy in there. Doesn't want to go anywhere anytime soon. Yeah, because of course it's August. It's hot, hot outside. And I'm so grateful that we had our little pop up pool going on because it was hot. Yeah, so I would joke and tell people it must be air conditioned in there because she's not going anywhere. I was definitely not feeling any of those feelings I should have been feeling, like any pressure or like pains or nothing. No sign of labor or nothing. Of course, we had an induction date set because that's what you have to do. Well, you don't have to, but like at our specific hospital that we were gonna have birth at, they have you have an appointment for an induction date. And so the night before our induction date, we went out to dinner and just kind of tried to enjoy ourselves one last night. And we went out for a walk, and it was just a really beautiful night. And we took some pictures, and I really love those pictures that we took on our walk. And while we were on our walk, we got a phone call from the hospital asking if we wanted to come in early the night before to start our induction process. And we thought about it for a moment, and I was like, Johnny also was like, let's just enjoy our night, have one last night, get some good night's sleep. And so we said, no, we'll wait till tomorrow with our intended induction date. And they said, okay, that's fine. So yeah, we enjoyed our night and relaxed, and we had a couple of phone calls back and forth with the hospital because, of course, people coming in with spontaneous labor pushed back our induction time from the morning to afternoon. And so we went in the afternoon to go get induced, and we get all set up in our room, and they're taking questions and getting an IV and everything. And they took my blood pressure, and my blood pressure was actually high, like twice. And I didn't even realize that they took it the second time because there's just like a lot of stuff going on. They're like, oh, you got high blood pressure. Like I'd never had high blood pressure before in this moment. Like at all my appointments, it's always been good. And I honestly think I was probably just nervous. Of course, I was nervous about everything with labor and giving birth. But I think having the high blood pressure in that situation gave me even more anxiety about the whole thing. And so anyways, so then one of the residents came in and had the ultrasound to take a look and see where baby was positioned, and which is obviously smart that they check that before they start any induction or anything like that. So she takes a look and she's like, oh yeah, here she is and everything. And she's kind of talking, and then she kind of got quiet and looked around. She's like, I'm something. I don't remember how she said it, but basically she's like, I think her head is down up here. And so she's like, I'm going to go get a second opinion. Let me go get a friend to take a look at this. And yeah, went and got someone else to take a look. They took a look and they decided that, yep, her head is not down under, not down where it's supposed to be. It was up, all the way up here. So our sweet little baby girl's head, she was flipped around breech, basically. That's what I'm trying to say. She was breech. And so in that moment, we're like, oh, well, crap. And of course, we're a week after our due date. So yeah, at that point, our only option is having a C-section. And so in the moment, I felt initial relief because I was like, wow, okay, this is happening and it's going to happen really fast. And I was just really grateful that like we didn't have to go through the induction process and the labor process for like hours and hours and then have a C-section, because I know that happens to many people where you go through hours and hours of labor for it to end up in a C-section anyway. So I was just kind of initially relieved and grateful that like there wasn't any like issues with her or me, but like it was just she flipped around. She's just breech. No, but we're gonna be feeling stuff afterwards. After they go. Yeah.
It sounds like it's a pretty quick procedure.
Does go by pretty fast. So yeah, it was definitely like a mixture of like relief, but also still nervous and everything going into it. And I know too much when it comes to surgery because I'm a former operating room nurse, and so I have had my fair share of experience in the operating room doing surgeries, and I've even scrubbed in one time on a C-section. So it is like definitely a wild experience having to be on both ends of the table. And so we went in, I got my spinal, and that was great. My anesthesia team was amazing. And it was just like such a weird feeling the spinal just like start to take effect and numb everything. And once I was like all draped up and everything, they made their incision and started everything. And I just like really started shaking. I like got the shakes, but I was like, I'm fine. Like, I don't know why I'm shaking. And I know some of my friends had told me that you can get shakes when you're in labor and stuff like that, where it's kind of like the hormones are leaving your body, that hormone crash that happens. But like, I was like, why am I shaking? Like, I was literally shaking up top, and that kind of freaked me out. But poor Johnny. So they brought Johnny in to the operating room after they had already made incision. So he saw me, like the way that he had to walk around to get to the top of the bed. He saw me cut open and them working on cutting open my abdominal muscles and making their way through all the layers. So Johnny was not too happy about that, seeing that happen. And then coming up to the top of the bed, there I am, shaking. And so he was a little freaked out. But I looked at him like, I'm fine. I don't know why I'm shaking, but I'm fine. And I told myself before, when we were preparing for birth and labor and everything, that I wanted to have this mantra of God is my strength. That was my mantra that I wanted to have when I was in labor and giving birth. And while they were working on me in the cesarean, I wanted to tell myself, God is my strength. I wanted that to be my mantra in the moment. But all I could think about was singing You Proof by Morgan Wallen in my head. And I had that song stuck in my head as they're cutting me open, doing my C-section. All I could think of was that song. I don't know why. But that was my mantra in the moment. I need something you proof, something stronger than I'm used to. And I think, looking back on it, I think that song choice in music is because it reminds me of Johnny. So that was my comfort in the moment. But yeah, it was definitely bizarre just singing that to myself in my head as we were kind of going through that experience. And yeah, but before we knew it, they were like, all right, we're going to pull down the drapes and you're going to take a look at her. And so they pulled her out of my belly and they pulled down the drapes and we got to take a look at her. And my first look at her, like, I just remember seeing her and seeing her hair on her head. That's the only thing I can remember, is seeing her hair on her head, and just immediately not being able to see anything. Like, my eyes just filled up with tears, just so emotional. And I can't remember anything else. I just remember, can't see anything. My eyes just covered up with tears and just being so excited to see her. So then, of course, they take her over to a little baby station to get her all cleaned up and stuff. and get all the fluid out of her lungs and everything. Because during a C-section, the baby still has a lot of fluid in their lungs, a lot of amniotic fluid. During regular vaginal birth, a lot of that gets pushed out when they're getting pushed out of the vaginal canal. So they're doing a lot of that stuff, getting her all tidied up, getting that fluid out. Then Johnny got to go over and cut the umbilical cord and all that fun stuff. And then I'm still like having the shakes and shaking. So that still like kind of bothered me that I was still doing that. So when we had our skin to skin time, I don't know. I don't know. That's the one thing I wish I could go back in time to do. But like when I was holding her on my chest and everything, it just felt really awkward. Maybe her positioning was weird. But I just remember saying to Johnny, like, can you take her and do skin to skin with her? I was just like, I just didn't feel right. And so that, looking back, I was kind of sad about that. But Johnny got to do some skin to skin with her, and they took her back to our room, and he got to do more skin to skin with her and everything while they closed me up. And that's one of my favorite photos from our birth experiences. Johnny took a picture with her while he was doing skin to skin with her. So that was really, really special. Eventually I stopped shaking and I get closed up, cleaned up, and sent off to my postpartum journey. And yeah, that in a nutshell is our birth story of having a C-section. And of course, I am so grateful that like there was nothing wrong with her, there was nothing wrong with me. She was just breech. But I still feel a little sad that like a little sad about feeling like I missed out on the experience of being in labor, having contractions, feeling the ring of fire, like feeling all those things that you get told about when it comes to having a baby and giving birth vaginally. I am grateful, but I'm still, obviously, you still grieve that missed experience. And that's totally normal. It's totally normal to feel that way. But it's bittersweet because I don't know if we're going to get a round two. I don't know if there's going to be another opportunity to have this experience of having a baby and giving birth vaginally. Even if we do try to have a baby, there's no guarantees in life. There's no guarantees that we could even try to do a vaginal birth after cesarean. But irregardless, like I am just really grateful that we live in a time where we can have C-sections, and I'm not stuck with a baby flipped around breech in my belly. So I'm just super, super grateful for everything, how everything turned out. And yeah, but the C-section went great. The postpartum recovery was an experience. And I feel like that is definitely a topic for another day as well. So yeah, mamas, I just wanted to reflect on our birth story, our birth experience, now that it's springtime, and thinking about new beginnings and new creations, and reflecting on our experience bringing in our sweet baby girl, this new life into the world. And especially since it's April, Cesarean Awareness Month, I was like, wow, perfect timing to talk about this. In the end, I'm just really, really blessed with the whole experience. I know in the moment it definitely had mixed feelings, but I am really, really learning to be proud of my scar. I know initially in the postpartum recovery section of my life, I was not a fan of my scar initially for a while, but it's something that I have grown to learn to be happy for and being proud of myself through that recovery process. And it's definitely an experience. And if you are a mommy to be and you are anticipating your birth experience, just I wish someone would have told me, I don't know, it's hard because you think like, oh, that might not be me, but like I wish someone would have told me that like whatever, like I don't know. Which I had that attitude too, like whatever happens happens, like whatever way she needs to come out is that's my birth plan. That's literally what I told people. Is like however it needs to happen, that's my birth plan. Do what is best. But I don't know. I feel like there's only so much you can do to prepare for your birth experience. So mamas, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you guys so much for all the love and support. I see my sweet little bee wiggling around on the monitor. I don't think I have very much time left in this nap time period, but I'm so grateful that I got to sit down and chat with you about our birth story. If you have any questions or thoughts or comments, please let me know in the comments below and feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to connect with you guys, and I'd love to hear about your birth story. I find them very fascinating and very interesting to listen to. I'm really excited for upcoming episodes. If you guys have any topics you want to discuss or talk about, let me know. And if you want to be a guest, be my guest. I would love to sit down and chat with you about motherhood or business or anything, any kind of topic you want to talk about. Yeah, thank you guys so much. There's a lot of exciting things happening in life, and I can't wait to share them with you guys. So we will see you guys next time. Thanks for buzzing by. There's a lot of bee puns that I want to use in this podcast.